So
Are they,
it's all white.
this is now part of 5?
You good?
This color the same as this color, or is it this color? I think
Call meeting to order. Shelley, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. District 1, Councilman Rios is excused. District 2, Councilman Pastor. Present. District 3, Councilman Leatham is excused. District 4, Vice Mayor Stapleton.
Here.
District 5, Councilman Gonzalez.
Here.
District 6, Councilman Shipley.
Here.
Mayor Demaros.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Fernando, can you lead us in the invocation, please?
Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you that we could be gathered here today to do our community's work. Please help us to be enlightened so that we can make the best decisions we can for our future and our community's future. Please help all those people who are dealing with illness and struggling and family issues. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mike, if you please. We'll start with summary of current events. Mariano, we'll start with you.
I want to advise the public to try to get your vaccinations in. The reports are not heartening. The last 3 weeks have been very, very fast spread throughout the county. And I know, Mr. Mayor, you've been advising everyone, but having just gone through that, I strongly urge you to consider getting vaccinated. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariano. Fernando?
I'd just like to thank everybody that volunteered, that worked on the staircase project last weekend, not this weekend, but the one before, and it's got cleaned up pretty good. They have a request out for proposals from artists for any ideas on how to embellish the staircase. And the deadline is the 31st of this month. So if you know someone that would like to submit a proposal, make sure they get that into, I think it's the Center of the Arts that's accepting them, and they need to be in by January 31st. So, and I think the mayor's going to make an announcement about the next event coming up for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike? Thank you. Mike?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Welcome back. Thank you. I was out last meeting due to COVID. Actually had COVID. Had to close my business for a week, but we're up and going again. And I know, Mariano, you were down too.
Same time.
So, yeah. Like everybody said, make sure you pay attention, mask up. And I had no idea that I was sick. I didn't have any symptoms at all. I was actually just a little tired. That was it. But Deanna, she was really sick. So, but anyway, mask up and then I want to just give a shout out to Linda and your team and everything that you guys are doing. I was fortunate enough to go by the pool, and Melissa, you as well. And wow, what an amazing feat to go by there and see what's going on out there. So again, thank you. It's really cool to actually see progress. So thank you. Jerry, you as well. Thanks, guy. Appreciate it. And then I was invited, Tom O'Halloran came down to Globe on Saturday, I think, and he presented a flag to the Globe Fire Department from the U.S. Capitol, which was really cool. I actually got to sneak away. I was a little late, but Mike filled in for me. But it was really interesting to see that, catch up with Tom. So it was good. That's all I have there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, just to follow up on COVID, we're all tired of COVID. I don't think it's done with us at this time. This past week has been the highest number ever since it started, 1,003 in Gila County, new cases in 7 days. In Globe, Miami, and San Carlos, we're averaging 88 new cases per day. About 258, I think, for the week is what we got. So it's pretty high in our community. Be safe, be aware. You know, it's hopefully we get through this spike with nobody, any seriousness. I'll wait till the train goes by.
Need to bring the arms from Connie's over here, meeting night.
A follow-up on what Fernando talked about, the stairway and the IR program. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, they're going to be out there, and I think they're going to be assorting rocks and getting rocks to the area. I guess they're going to reinforce the sides of the stairway, and it's good to hear that they're under direction with John. You know, they've been in communication with you also, which is good, and I'm glad that they're keeping the city involved in it. And then Saturday, they're going to be there from 8 to 11. Again, a lot of it's going to be hauling rocks and placing those rocks, I think, on the east side to secure that bank so to keep the dirt off the stairway. So if anybody can help, come out and help, and it'll be a nice project once it's done and they get the artwork on there. And that's all I had.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, yeah, pretty much COVID continues to dominate operations. I will tell you that right now, the Active Adult Center, we're not serving inside dining, we're still operating, making food, delivering food, and that may continue into next week. All the departments are running short and playing, trying to get coverage. I want to thank every member of the staff that pulls their extra weight when one person has to stay home. They don't feel well. They're need to get better. Everybody else has to step in, and everybody does it willingly and with full support. And so thank all of your staff is doing their best to cover and make ends meet and make sure that we have coverage. And the last thing I would say, and I think this applies, this is what I say internally, I think this applies to anybody else who's in the workforce, and it really applies to anybody else that's out there. If you feel sick, stay home. If you got the sniffles, if you got a sore throat, and I don't want to get accused of being playing doctor or anything like that. I haven't even stayed in the Holiday Inn. But what we're seeing is symptoms are there, they're light, and it takes a while to test positive. May not test positive at all, but there's still no reason, positive or not. If you don't feel well, just call in, talk to your supervisor, stay home. Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. We go to our first community call to the public. Do we have any online or on email?
Email. Let me check the email, Mr. Mayor, and see. So there it is. Logging on. Signing in. Hang on a second. No, nothing in the email.
Okay. So we'll move on to special presentations and ceremonial matters. And first item is Economic Development will present council with a marketing update through efforts of the Phoenix New Times. Linda.
Great. Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're so excited to share this presentation with you tonight. This is something that we have been working on for 2 years, and then when COVID hit, we hit a hard pause. So we had to sit back a year and wait until we could jump back in and start marketing our community. So we're able to roll out now with the brand that we spent many months on. We all know Globe, Arizona to the core, and we're happy to share where we are in our marketing campaign. Melissa Steele, our economic development specialist, who is spearheading this project and really managing all the moving pieces of our marketing campaign. Phoenix New Times, our presenter tonight, our account manager is Matthew Gibbons, and it's such an honor to work with him. We've learned so much, and we get to learn from his many years of experience that he's worked all over the West, it sounds like. And so it's just been a great experience for us. And Melissa not only is managing all these different moving pieces, but she's also producing the content that we are working with many of our vendors on, including Phoenix New Times and Arizona Highways and others. But tonight, we're going to be focusing on our campaign with Phoenix New Times that began last February and up till now. So here is Melissa. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us present again. As you know, we did have this all set up pre-COVID. We were ready to embark on a marketing journey that we hadn't done before, and COVID hit. And our businesses were shut down, and our streets were empty, and we, as you know, couldn't open our doors to serve our visitors. Our community really went into a crisis mode. Everything was paused, including our funding here for the marketing. But during COVID, it really was highlighted that people didn't want to leave the state. They really were looking for a way to get outside and look for a way to only have a weekend trip, and we're perfect for that. So it really did give us the opportunity to look for somebody that would be able to market us as that perfect destination. We did recently receive a report from Dean Runyon as part of our Arizona Office of Tourism package that showed us that we actually lost 10% of our hospitality jobs during COVID, which is huge. It's a big loss for our community. As part of our crisis management for that, thank goodness we decided to push forward with the marketing and start bringing people back, start living up to our hospitality. We did look at about 5 different marketing firms. We decided on Phoenix New Times because of their experience, because of their current customer base. They have a really good relationship with all of their customers, and they have for years. And I guess for that, I want to introduce Matthew Gibbons. He is our account executive with Phoenix New Times. He's worked with publishing for 27 years. He has so many great ideas, and we really bounce off of each other very well. And he is a destination brand marketing specialist. So I just really wanted him to present to you guys, to give you all of these numbers and really show how great we're doing. So thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, City Council, citizens of Globe. I want to take a moment to thank you and thank on behalf of Voice Media Group all of our service members who are reservists, who are deployed, and all the veterans of Globe, and also our first responders for the work that you do. Thank you. As Melissa and Linda said, I am Matthew Gibbons, and I work for the Phoenix New Times, which is a division of Voice Media Group. Since April of 1970, every Thursday, the Phoenix New Times distributes tens of thousands of copies through 1,600 locations in the greater Phoenix area. During the time of COVID, we became an essential resource for the 1.9 million readers in the greater Phoenix area who were looking for news and information. Our director of marketing, Sean Ornelas, who is the former marketing director for the Phoenix Suns basketball team, sprang into action and did an exhaustive research and survey of our readership and concluded and submitted to us what was probably the most scientifically accurate research document during the time of COVID of what our readers were looking for. And it matched up perfectly with what the Arizona Office of Tourism discovered with their marketing research. And that is that folks in the greater Phoenix area in 2020 were not looking to get on an airplane. And they were not looking to drive more than a few hours away from home, but they were accustomed to dining out 3 nights a week. They were accustomed to going on 3 vacations a year. And they wanted to travel, but they wanted to travel within the state of Arizona. So there was an opportunity inside of a crisis. Some of you can remember a year ago with your shops being closed, with no cars on the street in downtown, and with trucks backed up by the food bank distributing boxes of food to people. And as the most recent report from Dean Runyon and Associates will demonstrate to City Council, you lost a significant number of jobs related directly to hospitality and tourism. So Linda and Melissa and their department sprung into action, and they reached out to us at the New Times so that we could extend your voice to the people of Phoenix and talk to our readers about the Globe brand. And I have to tell you, I've been working in this industry now this is starting my 28th year. I haven't seen that many destinations, including Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, Santa Barbara County, and other destinations that I've worked with, really nail their brand and also their brand positioning like the city of Globe has. It is remarkable. Arizona to the Core is one of the most genius brands I've seen in a long time. So I'm excited. I don't know how to exactly use this remote here, but I'm excited to go through the report and show you what your brand did in Phoenix. This one? All right. Thank you. That wasn't too hard. So the first thing I'd like to do is to introduce you to our executive team. That very handsome man in the back on the right-hand side is my boss, Curtis Barton. Now, Curtis Barton has one of the biggest hearts that you will ever find. And as I was getting ready to drive up here, Curtis said, "Gibbons, where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to Globe." He said, "Best Mexican food in the state, the best Mexican food." And he went on. And then we have about 20 people in our workspace, and it's an auditorium style room that we're in. And his voice was bouncing off the walls. And he says, "Everybody has to go on a weekend to Globe and eat Mexican food." And he just went off like Casa Reynoso, and he went off on all the restaurants that he loves about Globe. So Curtis is really in your corner as well, and our executive team is very proud to be associated with Globe. Really quickly, I want to go through some of the nuts and bolts of marketing. This is what we call the visitor journey funnel. Those of you who own businesses know it as your customer journey funnel. It begins at the very, very, very top with generating awareness. Then once we are aware of Globe, we then have to generate interest in Globe, help people make the decision to go to Globe, and then get them to come here. And then at the very bottom is what all of you do in your hotels and in your businesses and restaurants, is get them to come back and establish that loyalty. For most of you who run businesses, you know that the real job is to satisfy your customers and give them more reasons to come back. In all the trips I've taken to Globe during this last year, I have struck up the most amazing conversations with your residents because they just invite you to a conversation. Doesn't matter if you're eating alone like I was, they'll just start talking to you and they'll tell you should go here and you should go there. It's amazing how engaged your community is and how much they love Globe. And that really helps to communicate to visitors more reasons why they should return. So when it comes to your campaign goals, we break it down into the 4 categories of creating awareness in the locals in Phoenix, creating awareness in visitors to the greater Phoenix area. Also, the other market segment are college students, and then snowbirds, which kind of act like temporary residents. Your brand message is packed, absolutely packed. Arizona to the core, cuisine, origin, recreation, and events. With inside of each one of those core segments are markets, discrete markets that can be positioned and spoken to in very deliberate ways, things that they honestly and truly care a great deal about that Globe can deliver better than any other destination in Arizona. The 4th goal of the campaign was to return occupancy to pre-COVID levels and to maintain your rate integrity. We aren't going to build the type of loyal customers that you want by giving away the store. And that also translates to retail. Return collected sales tax to pre-COVID levels and to maintain the profit margins. Those were the goals as Linda and Melissa had set. So now that we have the goals, we then look at the objectives. Who are we talking to? Phoenix locals are all seasoned travelers, and you can see under that column the types of positioning statements and the types of messaging and the types of interests that our locals have in the greater Phoenix area. The second campaign objective were college students, those who are returning back to school August, September. They live out of state, 18 to 24, social media users, they love nature, and they're seeking authentic experiences. This is an audience that had never been tapped before until Linda and Melissa identified this as a market to explore. And you're going to see some interesting results. The third segment of your objectives are visitors. Like right now, we are about to get hit with spring training. I know it's 50-50, it's a coin toss whether or not the Cactus League is going to return. Everything that we're hearing as a major news organization is feeling pretty positive, but I'm not going to go on record at Globe City Council saying anything definitive. But we're feeling good about it. So these folks are here for a month, and they can take these nice little day trips. Getting more weekday business, that midweek occupancy, as well as weekend, helps to put more money inside of our coffers. And then we obviously have the snowbirds. That's a huge segment for the greater Phoenix area. And these are folks who really behave like temporary visitors. So they are more of your weekenders, as strange as it sounds, traveling midweek to spend a couple nights in a hotel. They don't generally do it that often, but they are folks who do like weekending. So when we're speaking to these objectives, we have all these different types of messaging that we can put out to them. So here are the core strategies. What is Globe? Where is it? Why go to it? And then, of course, you have your core in there. And also when. Because we need those different types of triggers for events, but also for seasonal reasons to go to Globe that triggers the tourism. And then comes the strategy. And the strategy means the messaging when it comes to how we communicate. So for cuisine, as Curtis Barton said, best Mexican food in Arizona. And also we have a reason why people should travel to Globe is there are people who will travel for food experiences, 100%. The foodie market is massive, and that best Mexican food in Arizona is a major thing to promote. Also, you have a chef here that's created a couple of concepts and a third on the way that is a news story in and of himself. John Wong and his concept is another reason why people should travel to Globe. Then you have the Drift Inn and historic saloons, wagon vineyards, and so much more in the cuisine column. Origin, Beshbagoa, and the First Nations people, Wild West mining, American history, politics, culture, and also you have more 100-year-old churches than anywhere in the state of Arizona. Architectural tourism is a major component. Recreation, of course, you know all the categories of recreation for the outdoors, but also you have live music and live theater and live comedy coming back, but also you are a haunted town and you have ghosts. And there is a large number of people that want to go ghost hunting. And then, of course, you have your annual events, First Fridays and more. So using these types of strategies, we're able to then deploy tactics, goals, objectives, strategies, and tactics. So the tactics that we use at the New Times print, we have many special issues that we publish throughout the year that are read by a large number of people in the greater Phoenix area, which you'll see in some slides upcoming. Spring training guide, the summer guide, and the back to college guide were three of the special issues that you participated in last year. Also, PhoenixNewTimes.com, we have a significant amount of web traffic because we are a news website and you ran digital display banners. Then we also have newsletters that are sent to double opted-in audiences under our branding. And then we're going to get into something I've heard you all are interested in, programmatic advertising, doing very, very targeted advertising using the most advanced digital tactics available. And then social media and social media management. So there's a glossary of terms that you have in your packages. I don't want to go through all of them now just out of respect for time. I'm going to jump ahead to the thing that I understand from Linda and Melissa that you're most interested in learning about, and that's programmatic advertising. So programmatic is kind of a fancy word for targeted, but this is a different kind of targeting. As you can see in the center of the technology stack is something called the Trade Desk and Google Analytics. You can think of the Trade Desk kind of like the New York Stock Exchange. If you want to buy 100 shares of XYZ company for $10 a share, if you buy your shares through Goldman Sachs, you'll get it for $10 because they have a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. If you go through E-Trade, you're going to pay more. You're going to be too late to the party. Our company owns a seat on the Trade Desk. Next to that is Google Analytics, and we are a top 1% agency premier Google partner. We have our own team embedded inside of Google that we meet with twice a week. Essentially, in the state of Arizona, we are an extension of Google. The Trade Desk and Google are the places on the internet where advertising that you see is bought and sold. So when you see an ad on a web page or through an app or through streaming television or streaming audio, it's coming through either the Trade Desk or through Google. So having that seat on the Trade Desk gives us a competitive advantage over any other agency in the state of Arizona. In the center of the technology stack is what you've all heard of, big data. These represent just a small amount of the companies that track everywhere we go, every keystroke we make, every website we visit, not only on the internet, but literally through all the wonderful applications that we download on our smartphones. So companies like ours, we buy a lot of data from those companies. The outer ring of the tech stack, those represent just a few of the media companies where an audience member will watch or read content or engage in a game or an app. So when we're looking for discrete audience segments, we find it through big data, and then we leverage our seat on the Trade Desk to, in real time, outbid the competition to place your advertisements in front of the people we are looking to influence with our marketing. That's how programmatic works. With some of the technologies that I'm going to describe, like device ID, we are able to find up to 35 to 40% of the mobile phones that have been to a certain place at a certain time. And then we can see where these phones live. Hop on their Wi-Fi, connect to the router, and then connect to all the other devices within the home. So that way we live inside of the IP of all of their devices. So whether they are at home connected to their router or away from their home, that user is the person that we're targeting with your messaging. So they can see your ad if they're playing a game, using an app, or browsing the web, even when they're not at home, because we're in their we're in the IP of their devices. We can segment the audience within the household so that we can reach one person with one messaging and another person with another set of messaging, or exclude people that are not the targets even within the same home. That's how discreet we can get with this technology. And we have used it for a couple of your campaigns. So these next couple of slides just describe more of what I've just indicated. We can narrow down the audience, not just based on where they've been and what they've done, but also by household income, by gender, by all demographic, all the geographic targeting you could imagine. But then we can go further and we can target based on behavior. What are they looking at online that indicates a future purchase? Are they shopping for a home? Are they looking for a job? Are they looking to buy a new car? Are they looking to go on vacation? We can narrow it down so we can find people that have interest in Western culture, interest in Mexican cuisine. We can get that specific and deliver messages to them. So by adding what are called and or statements, we can narrow down the audience to predict what they are going to do based on their behavior and then influence them to go to Globe. That slide describes what I just said about device ID targeting, and we're going to get into the tactics. So the first set of tactics that we went with were Phoenix New Time Spring Training Guide and Summer Guide of last year, 2 of our special issues. The Phoenix New Times has a little bit over 500,000 exclusive readers per month. When it comes to our mobile website, as well as our desktop website, we have about another 1.4 million readers per month, giving us an audience of about 1.9 readers in the Valley. The Spring Training Guide had a reach of 550,319 people, both residents and visitors interested in spring training. We publish all of the schedules for each one of the teams in the Cactus League. What you ran was a 1/3 horizontal promoting the Poppy Fest. After that was a summer guide where you ran a full page speaking to a message that is really near and dear to the hearts of people who live in Phoenix, Gesundheit, that it's always 10 degrees cooler. And last summer in the Valley, it was boiling. So that message, always 10 degrees cooler. In fact, when I just drove over here, I started to, it got really cold because it's a little bit warmer in the Valley. The summer issue reached, again, that same audience, and these are all independently audited. These are not our numbers. We are a member of the press. We are a longstanding newspaper for over 50 years, and so all of our circulation is audited by a third party. So our reach is over 500,000 copies. Along with that, we ran some digital ads on our website, and you'll see there where it says CTR, that stands for click-through rate. We delivered over 50,000 impressions on our site, and a 0.06% click-through rate is an average click-through rate. That's normal. When you advertise on the web, that's what you're going to see. It doesn't matter what website you're on. So I just want all of you to know that that looks like a very unusual number to be that low. That's actually what it is when you advertise on the web. The next tactics the next issue was back to college. So you engaged in print in our back to college guide, as well as that device ID targeting that I spoke about just a moment ago. You ran a half-page ad in our back to college guide. And also we engage in something called programmatic email. This is a very different species of email where it uses that same type of programmatic targeting to reach very, very, very discrete subgroups within groups. So we sent out 35,000 emails. We had about 4,459 opens where the college students who had returned to campus opened the emails. About 12 3/4 open rate, for a click-through rate of 1.98%, which in email terms is average. Email is a really fantastic tactic, especially when you're able to really narrow down your audience to the right people. I know this slide is hard to see, but that shows your interacting, the rate of interactions with your programmatic banner ads, which ran through websites and also apps and games. This is what they look like blown up. What we were able to do is we were able to deliver just under 38,000 impressions for a 0.18% click-through rate, which is 3 times the average. When you target people with the right message, you get much more engagement. So the messaging was the perfect road trip, just 90 minutes from campus. And that beautiful photo. So this kind of shows in a different way how the campaign rolled out and when we got the most action when it came to clicks and impressions. That will help inform us in the future as far as refinements to narrow down our groups. Now, the cool thing about using device ID is not only can you pick up those cell phones on the college campuses in this instance, we can then place geofences around different parts of town and then see when those devices come to Globe. So we pick them up at school, deliver advertisements to them, and then we can see when they cross into these different boundaries in the city of Globe. What we found, and this we measured this over the course of about a month, 5 weeks after the campaign ran. The reason why is advertising has a long tail. you really don't see the effects of advertising for usually about 6 weeks from when the ad hits. What we found was 517 unique responses, meaning 517 devices. They crossed over into those different geoframe boundaries within your city 5,837 times. And on the left column there, you can see which colleges we picked them up. We picked up those devices and when we delivered those impressions, and then we can see when they crossed over into the boundaries of your city. So there was a lot of interest in young people who perhaps had been to school for at least last year, maybe 2 years, looking for roadies coming out to Globe. So we can then see in the first column what boundary they crossed. That second column where it says ID, that's the unique device ID that's embedded inside your phones. And then the rest of the columns show where those phones live and what school we picked them up and when we saw them come into those boundaries here in the city of Globe. So it was a pretty good response to this particular campaign. And the KPIs, key performance indicators for the Back to College, looks like I had a couple of things misaligned there in the PDF, but the KPIs, the key performance indicators for the Back to College campaign is we delivered close to 600,000 impressions combined through print, through email, and also digital. And I can't see my numbers there for my click-through rate, but what we can see is the foot traffic and how that delivered. Perhaps on your paper copies, you can see it better than on the screen here. The click-through rate was 3 times average. So thank you, Melissa. The next campaign we ran was for Apache G-Day. We used run of site, meaning our website, phoenixnewtimes.com, digital display banner ads, as well as an extra push through the social media that we're managing for the Economic Development Department. So through digital display, we delivered 56,378 impressions for a CTR of click-through rate of 0.04%. It was lower than average. So there needed to be a little bit of extra juice, a little bit of extra incentive to get people to come out to the 37th annual Apache G-Day. So we just doubled down on more of the social media. And what we saw was there was pretty good engagement with the posts that we did for Instagram, especially for Apache G-Day. People really loved these posts and were interacting with them. And then we were able to deliver, my numbers aren't here, but we were able to deliver, I think, close to 40,000 digital impressions. And we had a click-through rate that was, again, higher than average for Apache G-Day. After that, we ran some Festival of Lights ads through phoenixnewtimes.com. And we changed the messaging here a little bit, where we have an animated GIF that talks about the festival, but also that it's the weekend getaway that's not too far away. And we tried that as a brand message to hit more on some of the brand identity and messaging that Linda and Melissa had developed. So we had about 52,000 impressions for a click-through rate, again, triple the average. Thank you. And so there was great interest in Apache G-Day. And we also ran some programmatic ads for the Festival of Lights. And then we put our geofencing again, except this time we kind of zoomed in a little bit. We ran it just on the buildings on East Ash Street. We then geofenced Nerdburger, some of the Broad Street, Mesquite to Cottonwood. We geofenced the Besh, and then South Ash, just the Pickle Barrel and Simply Sarah. Then on Broad Street, we did Yuma to Mesquite, just the buildings. And then on East Ash Street, just the buildings, not putting the geofences into the street where we would pick up some, odd, cars driving through. And what we found that for Apache, for Festival of Lights, we found 23 unique responses. So 23 people, and they crossed over geofences a few times, going in from one shop to another. So 23 people came to Globe as a result of this particular campaign. And where we picked up this audience was from Old Town Scottsdale, especially from the Western and Native American shops in Old Town, and also the mall, the Fashion Square. We wanted to find people that would go to Native American museums, and also people that would shop in Native American stores for souvenirs and jewelry. And what we found was a pretty good response to people coming out to Globe for the festival. That is all the advertising that we did. The next section deals with our social media management. The advertising accounted for $7,775, reaching 1.9 million audience, and which comes out to a cost per thousand of only $4.10. One of the lowest CPMs, one of the lowest cost per thousands of advertising that I've ever seen in 28 years of doing this, with the exception of Super Bowl ads, because that's, they're $3 million for 30 seconds, but you get 150 million audience size. So your CPMs, we were able to keep within your budget, respect your budget, and deliver a lot of impressions and create a lot of movement for not a lot of investment. Now, for your campaign tactics for social media, we started for you a Facebook account, an Instagram account, and a Twitter account. When we started in June, we were at the beginning. We only had 40 fans on Facebook, 101 on Instagram, and just 1 on Twitter. But we grew, and then we grew, and grew, and grew, and grew, and this is where we are now. We went from nothing to 627 fans, Instagram 311 fans, and then Twitter 17 fans. And we are growing your social media following at a rate similar to Bisbee and at a rate similar to Flag when they first started their social media accounts. You're on that kind of pace. People are interacting with the posts. People are liking and sharing your posts. And what does that mean? Who cares? Here's what it means. We sent out, we posted that the City of Globe is a perfect weekend getaway. Come see our historic buildings, small shops, and indulge in a variety of cuisine. And then this user said, just booked a weekend getaway there. Thank you. We can't wait to see you. Be sure to tag us. Social media is for retention. This is for getting people to come back, to communicate, for people to return to Globe. This is now acting as a way for people to discover Globe. So this is turning into something even beyond what, well, it's what we hope for in the long run, but it's turning into something beyond what we planned for. So the executive summary, just to wrap everything up, in 2021, the City of Globe launched 3 social media channels, growing at a pace equivalent to Bisbee and other rural Arizona destinations. You are reaching your target market segments with your core messaging. We've delivered 1.9 million impressions, and we've tracked foot traffic resulting from programmatic campaigns. And I've been a destination marketing specialist working for very, very big destinations in California for most of my career. And I can only share with you that what Linda and Melissa have done is even quicker, smarter, faster than the Los Angeles response to 9/11 when we lost the tourism industry, when everything fell out. Arizona, as a state, lost over 40% of its tourism dollars. There were thousands and thousands of workers who lost their jobs, many of them permanently. What happened here in Globe, because of the response that your economic development team did, is you did not suffer such a horrible fate as the rest of the state. You lost some jobs, and you did lose some significant tax revenue. But what you're able to do is to get back on track and pivot very quickly. And now we're getting to a situation where people are coming to Globe on the weekends and they can't find parking on Main Street. And they're complaining because they can't find parking. And when I hear people complaining that they can't find parking, I think, well, then it's time to make some city lots and charge people for parking and get some revenue going. If there's a couple of things that I can add on to this that's not in the deck here, when we look for forward thinking, well, actually it is in the deck, but I forgot I put that in there. Forward thinking. Be open nights and weekends, guys.
Bingo.
Be open. We are sending the tourists to you. You need to be open. Commit to maintaining the core brand strategy. It's genius. One of the best I've seen in all my career. These guys are really, really smart. You have a great team here. Continue to expand your marketing strategy. Perhaps in the future, a map and guide. And continue to invest in your downtown development. That will bring more people and give them more reasons to come back to Globe. And also, perhaps in the future, a pilot program where people who work in shops and restaurants and at the hotels can become information ambassadors to Globe, take a tour of the city for an hour, learn about the history, so that every single touch point a visitor has on their journey through Globe, they're being reinforced with the same message about when you should come, why you should come, what you missed, what you need to come back and see again. Hawaii started this back, 25, 30 years ago with the Aloha program. Many destinations like Santa Monica began an information ambassador program. I am a Santa Monica information ambassador. And, they provide this program free for the touch labor, the people that work directly with the visitors at restaurants and hotels. Something to think about for the future. And that is our presentation. The Phoenix New Times thanks you. And always the Phoenix New Times and Voice Media Group thanks our first responders, our veterans, our men and women in uniform and reservists. Thank you so much for your time, and I am happy to take your questions.
Questions, comments?
I will, Mr. Mayor, if I may. Matt, I would tell you that our Economic Development Director, Linda, has done a pretty good job for this community. It's been a long, slow start. Her and I have had many talks about how long and how slow it goes, but I keep encouraging her because I see more and more improvement in what she's doing. And even some of the think about it ideas, I think we've already discussed several of them. And I think that's, this board is pretty progressive thinking as to seeing the development of our community. So I think this is a pretty good campaign that what you put together for us, and Linda and Melissa have done a good job. So not much more I can say about it.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Mayor, I'm a retiree who happens to be a musician, and I play at the local winery once a month. I'm also president of the museum on the other side of town. And throughout the last year and a half, people who go to those two particular venues are not locals. And I ask them, what brought you here? They say these things about, I've seen it somewhere, we've been through here, we finally decided to stop and explore, and they're out of towners, I call them. And they're excited to be here. They're looking for all of these places. They ask lots of questions, especially at the winery. What's a good place to eat? We've been to this restaurant or that restaurant. They come to the museum in Miami and they stop. Is this your first visit? No, this is our second. We finally decided to stop. And we want to see more of, this town or this floor of the museum. I've seen that for a year and a half now. Now I know what's driving them. It's very exciting to see that your work, not only here, but across the region, all of our ABCs, agencies, boards, and commissions, are banding together to make this product out there. And that's where it's showing up. I get it now, okay? I've been a fan of the Times for a long time. Very progressive and extremely powerful ways we're reaching out there, extremely sophisticated. I didn't know you guys were doing all that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I think, I commend our Economic Development Department also. I think 4 years ago when we started this venture, when this council wanted to take the lead in economic development and tourism, which they have never done in the past. It was a big plus. But we also knew, I think at that time, that it takes time to build that base, a strong base, and it's patience and keeping the momentum going. That's what's difficult, because a lot of our locals don't see visible things that are happening. They don't see this stuff that you just presented in the background. So it's good to hear that we progressed that far, and I think it's, it doesn't happen overnight, and it's going to continue to build, and we're just on the verge of really bringing people to our community now.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate, and City Council, thank you so much for your kind words. The thing that matters is getting those jobs back, bringing in more jobs that cannot be moved overseas, jobs that are not tied into industry that could shut down. My family's from Bisbee, and so everything lived and died by the mine. And so having now a Bisbee that is really a tourist town, it's a whole different economy, and there's a lot more security. And the police needs to be at full force. Your fire department needs to be at full force. The streets need to be maintained. There are so many needs that you as a council are facing. Tourism can provide that tax revenue through sales tax and occupancy tax. And these are little incremental moves, but for the amount of value that a visitor brings into your community, it is absolutely essential to build up the tourism sector even stronger, so that you can have a fully funded city without having to be too much of a burden on your shareholders and your stakeholders. Let tourism be the way to raise your revenues.
I want to thank you too, Economic Development, and you as well. I own a restaurant in town. It's not Mexican food. And I've noticed a huge impact with my restaurant, especially on weekends. I'm not opening in the evenings, but I'm open from 6:30 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon. But I get people lining up Fridays and Saturdays, especially, sometimes at 5:30, 6 in the morning, every weekend, and motorcycle groups and stuff, wanting to come in and see what's to do here in Globe. I'm fortunate enough where I can feed them and also give them direction on what to do here in the city. So thank you, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, council member. And I know we've done some great social media posting for your restaurant, particularly, along with many other fine restaurants here. Yeah, we don't want to see trucks, going up and down the street for the food bank. We want to see full restaurants and economic prosperity for the city of Globe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one more comment on the on the ambassadors of Globe that you talked about. I think we need to start that process so we can get everybody that they make contact with here, from the fast food restaurants to any of the businesses and any of the other restaurants, that we all are ambassadors and telling the same story. We need to educate our community to pass that on, because so many times we don't do that. We don't do a good job of that.
The shareholders and the stakeholders, the members of the community are already so enthusiastic. Every time I've been to a restaurant or a shop, I end up in these incredible conversations with your locals. They are more than happy to be a part of it. They have to be part of it every single step of the way. There are too many cautionary tales of communities, even in Arizona, that have made decisions on behalf of the citizens without enough public input that have been disastrous. So the more you stay in touch with your community and ask them to participate, the more enthusiastic and more buy-in you'll get. So it's a very, very good idea. Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, before we end here, I'm just thinking back to the Citizens Academy and the presentation that Linda did, and she talked lightly about this with the group, and I was amazed at how interested they were, and you were there, and they were just very curious and a lot of questions, and I think that everybody in Globe and in the region would be thrilled to know how well we're trying, well, not how well we're doing, but that we are doing this, this is a low-cost way to really make a difference for the region, and people are excited about it, they're happy about it, they buy into this type of, they always say, why aren't we doing this? Well, we could be the ones that everybody's saying, why aren't we doing like Globe does? So I think we need to tell our story on this also. Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you.
Thank you so much. And if I don't go to a Mexican restaurant tonight and send pictures of Curtis Barton, my boss, that I've eaten Mexican food in Globe tonight, he said, don't come in tomorrow. So I'm going to go have dinner.
Have dinner.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So we'll move on to the consent calendar. And matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. Public hearing items are designated with an asterisk. Prior to consideration of the consent agenda, the mayor will ask whether any member of the public wishes to remove a public hearing item for separate consideration. Members of the council and/or staff may remove any item for separate consideration. Item A, consideration of waiver of section 2-4-10A, prior discussion rule to allow action on the balance of the consent agenda. Accounts payable, $251,230.59. Consideration of agreements and purchases less than $25,000. Contract number CS-2021-0038 with RFI Consultants. Contract number CS-2022-002 with Kino Floors and with Kino Interiors and Floors. Contract number CS-2022-003. Contract number EC-2021-0035 with Florence Berrier. Do we have anybody from the public, the staff, or the council would want to remove any of these items for separate consideration?
Hearing none, Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda as read. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. New business, item A, discussion and consideration to approve the letter of engagement with Federal Compliance Consulting LLC in the amount not to exceed $10,000 that will be funded out of account number 10-55-51227 Election Administration for redistricting services resulting from the Gila County population analysis and request to section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule. Shelley and Paul.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We wanted to update Council on a meeting that staff had with Gila County about a week ago. They invited us to meet with their staff to go over the results of their population analysis based on the 2020 census information. And they informed us that the population within the Globe City districts had shifted, leaving one of our districts, in particular District 5, with more than a 10% deviation. We're at over an 18% deviation from the ideal population, which triggers the need for redistricting. So we're here tonight to inform council of what staff learned with the Gila County staff and present our plan to go forward with the redistricting. So we have tonight, we've reached out to Bruce Adelson. He is with the company and has done some redistricting here in Arizona for years. I believe he even helped Globe about 10 years ago. I saw his name, and we have him online tonight to answer any questions.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, before we can bring up Bruce, I think that's you. But I just wanted to let you know that these are the major discrepancies. District 1 and 2 are on the large side, and need to go down. They have to be within a 10% discrepancy. He'll point that out. 3 and 5 need to get bigger. 4 needs to stay about the same, and 6 needs to get smaller. So just in a nutshell, the ones that are on the big side are 1, 2, and 6. The ones that are on the small side, 3 and 5, and 4 is about right. So Bruce, are you there?
I'm here. Good evening.
Okay.
Good evening.
We're gonna pull you up on the screen so we can see, and then there you are. Bruce, we can hear you. Go ahead and begin.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. I'm going to give you a quick description of my background and a little bit more of a flavor about redistricting. I've been involved with redistricting for 21 years, not only in my previous career with the United States Department of Justice, but in my work now, both as an attorney, as a consultant. I'm working with Gila County now on their redistricting, and I'm currently working with several other Arizona jurisdictions as well. 10 years ago, I worked with the State Redistricting Commission, and as Shelley pointed out, yes, I did that, and that was something that I'm glad that she reminded me that we had an opportunity, and my pleasure to assist the city of Globe 10 years ago. So the primary rationale or the justification for redistricting is that based on the 2020 census, you had one district, I think, as you've already heard, District 5, was significantly underpopulated, more than 18%. One of the legal requirements of redistricting is essentially to have equal population across your districts. You are permitted by federal law to have up to a 10% deviation across the districts. That would be from underpopulation -5 to overpopulation +5. So in order to remedy the issue with underpopulation, we crafted 3 draft maps for you to begin evaluating and considering. The maps all are within the legal requirements that the federal courts and the U.S. Supreme Court have established for redistricting as far as the deviation. We took care of the underpopulation in District 5. So your districts legally are now balanced for population and resolve the issue that Gila County had mentioned about a week ago as far as their population analysis. That's a quick overview of what we've been able to do on a short time frame for the city, give you some draft maps to consider, and explain a little bit about redistricting requirements. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, Bruce was so good to get this information turned around. Sorry we didn't get you more time to look this over, but we'll have a chance to the next 2 weeks to look at this, hold a public hearing on the 8th, if that's council's pleasure, and then you can get in there and see where the lines are and see which one of these 3 options. So you have map 101, map 102, and map 103, which all reach the same requirements of being, appropriate districts, and then see, but you can kind of delve in and see which ones appeal to you. And like I say, and then we do have this sheet of paper, the green and yellow. That is our current breakdown, and you can see the discrepancy or that District 5 is 18% under, where 2 is 9% over, and that's what triggered this requirement.
Did the adjustments the adjustments on these maps there affect all 6 districts?
Yeah.
Or is it concentrated on the higher up percentages?
Bruce, did you hear that question?
Yes, and one of the issues with redistricting is that although District 5 needed the most attention because of the underpopulation, moving certain streets or boundaries will always have an implication for other districts. So it's like a deck of cards in a way, that once you take one card out or you move one card, that implicates the other cards in the deck. So the main focus was resolving the underpopulation issue with District 5. And in order to do that, to add population to 5, that has to come from other districts while continuing to maintain that equal population balance that the law requires.
So, Mayor, members of the council, in my quick review of this, I think one of the bigger changes, if you notice between 101 and 102, is the area of Hagan Road on the bottom of each of these. It swaps back and forth between 2 and 4. And so it's all about trying to get more into 5. And so there's various ways they touch that 5 touches 3 and 4. But then you have to adjust those on the other side, so it's a domino effect. But I think the biggest change on that, if you look at 101 versus 102, and then I'm trying to find 103.
You have 2 copies of each map.
No, one's a close-up on the
Oh,
second.
okay, so
Yeah,
the second
page
map is
yeah,
just
the
a.
second page is a close-up so you can see
it
better.
Yeah,
And then the third page has all the demographics.
right. And all 3 of these maps would be acceptable, Bruce?
They're all acceptable from a population balancing standpoint and other federal criteria. So yes, we wanted to give you 3 options, all of which resolve the population issue while also continuing to comply with other federal requirements.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, when Bruce and I and Shelley talked earlier, by having the 3 maps instead of taking changes, because doing any type of small changes adjusts a lot of things. So he, with his experience, suggested that having 3 initial safe maps would allow you to pick among these rather than going a round of changes that go back and forth.
Mayor?
And
Go ahead, Fernando.
Bruce, this is Fernando. I got a question regarding District 6. I'm colorblind, so when I'm looking at this map, I can't necessarily tell where the line is, but it looks the same for all 3 maps, but yet the numbers differ by just a few people, and I'm just curious as to how that
And that's a great point. District 6 likely is, if not exactly identical, virtually identical, because under your map that was drafted 10 years ago, the population in District 6 was pretty good. So it was about 4% overpopulation. That is well within the deviation requirements of federal law. So there weren't a lot of changes that would have been made in 6 other than potentially swapping population into 5 to deal with the underpopulation.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I believe the major changes are they take in the trailer court all the way into 5, and then Pinell Creek Road on map 102. Pinell Creek Road goes into 5, but I don't think there's many inhabitants there. But most of the switching around is right in the heart between the junction of 4, 3, and 5. That's where you see it, and that's where you see the back and forth changes. Like on map 101, 3 grows in the upper left corner. 101 grows in map number 4. Well, I'm able to, if you put them all into Acrobat or into the PDF reader, and then you switch back and forth, you can see kind of the changes in like a little screen show. So we're going to try to work on that, but I think if you take the time and sit down, it's hard to do it right here in front of everybody, but you can have that time to sit down. Happy to sit down with you and help explain the changes, and we might be able to put this in like a presentation loop that goes real fast, and you can kind of see it in live action.
So the motion for waiving the rules is for the payment of the redistricting, not for approval of the map
Right.
itself then,
And
yeah.
and we went back and forth of whether you need to waive the rules, but because this is not coming back, but the expenditure is not coming back, so it's just on the expenditure. You're not hearing that twice, but we intend to come back at the next 2 meetings for a public, Shelley, is it a public hearing on the 8th, 7th.
Yes, we talked about bringing public outreach on final approval.
And then we were also talking about, Linda has generously offered to create a page that we can put all this in, and we can link to it and do Facebook to it. Yeah,
So on the close-up maps,
yes.
they have red dotted lines. Is that where the changes are?
Bruce, is that the changes, or is that just the border of the city?
I think that's just the border. I think that's just the border of the city. I don't have the map, that particular section up in front of me, but that's my recollection. It's the border of the city.
Okay.
And
Hell, I don't care. Any one of them looks good. What's number 2? Yeah, in number 2, we added the canyon area.
right.
And there's quite a few people in that canyon area, more than 117, I would imagine.
Well, and so.
But that's based on the census, so that's who responded to the census. So if they didn't respond, they don't get counted.
Yeah, which is fine, you know.
And looking into, 2 was at, right now, District 2 is at 1325 population. In 101, 2 goes to 1247. In 102, it shrinks down to 1219. And in 103, it goes back up to 1225. But it's all within the limits, the margin of error that we need.
Okay, cool.
But it's like I say, there's a lot of area where they're maybe not populated, so you see that potential growth area, but it's hard to, you got to sit down and visualize it. And we may play with maybe a graphic where we can put these on transparencies and overlap them and kind of see the difference. But yeah, if you flip through these and look at them, it's all in that 5, 3, 4, and 2 area. And Fernando, we can work on trying to get some contrast on.
Yeah, the grayscale, yeah. So just a quick question. So does it factor into your consideration where the current representatives live so that they don't cross the line and end up being in a different district?
You can't do that.
Yeah. Bruce?
The current representatives who were in the districts and the maps that were passed 10 years ago, the districts haven't changed. The current and the incumbents remain in their current districts.
And that is a goal of all the goals. That's one of the goals, is that you keep everybody, you maintain that current representation.
And that's a perfectly acceptable redistricting goal or criteria. That's something that happens in places throughout the country pretty routinely.
Well, they all look pretty good.
And then Mayor, members of council, we will email these out to you also. And if you get on a good computer and blow them up, you can see the street level. You can see the names of the street where the lines fall on, and then you can tell what's shifting. I was able to look on it on my laptop with a big screen pretty easily. We can help you through that if you need to.
Bruce, one question. I heard a rumor, I don't know if this is something you can answer, that there's some district or some cities that are challenging the census. They weren't happy with the outcome of them, and they feel that they were shortchanged in some cities. Have you heard anything of that rumor?
Yes, I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of cities and counties across the country and in Arizona about the census. There were issues, as we know, with the census count. The Census Bureau does have a dispute appeal process, but that process is a very narrow one. It's not designed to deal with a situation where a jurisdiction may think that a particular community was not included or was undercounted. The rules are very specific and very narrow. In my 21 years of experience with redistricting, the number of jurisdictions that I've seen successfully challenge a census are very, very low. And as I've told some of the jurisdictions I've talked to, frankly, I can't I can in good conscience accept working for most jurisdictions that want to challenge the census because the cost is significant and the odds of success typically are pretty low.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Bruce, and I actually had been contacted by Pinal County just because have done in other community help with special censuses. And I think a lot of communities going to wait a couple years and then pay to go out and do a special, which is where you pay to have a group come in and they do a custom census for your area. If you think you got a significantly low count because the COVID, just the outreach, they couldn't hire enough staff, and you think that you can promote the participation and do better, it's easier just to run a special on top of that and try to get that. Now, the cost of doing a special for the City Globe, for the amount of difference, I think we got away pretty good, is pretty a lot of money, not a good investment. But for larger cities, I think a special census in 2 years is probably a better way. And then you capture all the new buildings. We don't have as much. I hope to one point we'll have to use a special to capture all the new residential homes we have here. But
They're coming. We just had a presentation.
yeah, we just so. But that's a more efficient way because when in the city of Maricopa, when they were growing like a weed, they did 2 within a 5-year span just so they could get their fair share of the money.
No, we lost about 125 in our population count with the census. Was that the number that we lost?
That's the number we lost.
Okay.
And I think given what was going on and everything, I think that was I think everybody lost some, and I think we could have done a lot worse. I don't know how to say that properly, but
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Mayor, I'll move to approve, let's see, I'll just read it. Discussion, oops, sorry, sir. So I know that I want to move to approve the funding for the Special Election Administration.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, just before we vote, Shelley, the reason we want to wrap this up on the second meeting in February is to help Pinal County. I'm sorry, I was talking about Pinal County, Gila County elections, to make sure they have current maps ahead of time, so we can get our packets out and everything. That's going to help your job out with, so we need that. It is, like I say, we're on a track to do this right. If we hit our marks, we're going to be fine.
And I'd like to amend my motion to include waive the prior discussion rule.
You second that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of item A. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Bruce, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Bruce, thank you. We'll be in touch, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks.
Great. I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Item B, discussion and consideration to award contract number CS-20220-0001 to CDX Contracting LLC for the Police Department Remodel Phase 2 project in the amount of $24,888.54 plus an owner's contingency of $22,000. The funds of $46,888.54 will come from the budgeted funds in account number 10-57-52200 Police Capital Outlay Construction and request to waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule. Jerry.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm here to present this item for the police department and explain maybe the contract because there's quite a contingency on this item. And the reason being is we were going to use our on-call electrician and there wasn't any availability there for any of the 4 on-calls we had. So we asked that the contractor CDX use their electrician, and which would create a change order. So we developed the contingent money within the contract to cover that. So that's why it's so much. And it was budgeted through the police department, so. Okay. Any questions?
Did this process go through the procurement, or was this part of the emergency signing of the?
We went out through the procurement, yes.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, invite any members of council who want to check out all the busy construction and remodeling going on over there. It's pretty exciting to see, and we're still trying to, like say, working in the fire department too. They're trying to get that straightened out. And just on a side note, given the construction and public safety, we have relocated the chief and deputy chief. They now have offices out of Tommy Thompson's office, the CVS building. What's that called?
Amster building?
The Amster building upstairs. So they're working out of there. It was much safer there because of until they get the cleanup done.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I have one question.
Go ahead, Mike.
And I don't know if this is the right question or not, but, so the amount of the contract is $24,888.54. And we have another $22,000 already identified
Yes.
for contingency,
Yes.
so are we hard on the 24,000 with the contractor, or will he double his change order price to get
No,
the
this,
full amount like that happened over here on Maple Street?
so this is the total change order. Over on Maple Street, we actually changed that.
Yeah.
This was all within the original scope of the project. The difference being the 22,000 that we were gonna pay, I'm not gonna say their name, but one of our on-call electrician is now being paid to this contractor to use his electrician.
So 22,000 is included in the 24,000?
No, they're added together is 46,000.
Okay, so it's a total price of 46,000 that
Yes.
we're looking at.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilman Pastor. So Jerry, this would have been split between two contractors. Now we're combining them, all
Yes.
the work into the scope, adding the scope into the one contractor, and then the contingency is our method of upgrading the payment instead of doing a
But
separate.
we didn't go to the bid process on this, did we?
Under 50,000, we're able to go out and get 3 formal quotes, and that's what we did. And actually, the contractor who gave us the lowest responsible bid backed out, so CDX stepped in.
Okay.
So, and it's actually, just to correct a little bit, it's actually 3 contractors, because we also have a plumbing contractor over there, but they're part of our they have a contract themselves, so they're not backing out on us, so we didn't have to do anything there.
But Mr. Mayor, members of council, but Jerry, this isn't a case where they had a bid, a scope, and then they found a bunch more work. And no, this is.
No,
This
we
is-
we asked them to take this on because we knew they had an electrician on within their company.
So in essence, the expansion of the scope is driven by the city.
Yes. And it wasn't increased from the original scope of work. It was just redistributed. Does that make sense?
But it all goes to the same contractor.
We intended on paying that amount of money originally, and now, in fact, a little bit more than that. And now they're going to take it on. 2/3 of that contract they're taking on.
And that's one of our, that's the Mr. Mayor, members of council, one of the issues we've been having is people trying to get bids, trying to get 3 bids, trying to get people who will hold with their bid, trying to get people that won't cancel the work. It's like say, there are a lot of companies out there. They have a lot of jobs, and getting them to hold their bid and come and do the work is a difficulty. It's a supply and demand, and the ball is in their contractor's court right now.
What a great thing for our community when our contractors have more work than what they can.
Anybody watching,
handle.
if you
So,
want to come.
this is really a good thing. And the electrician that works for CDX is actually local too.
Well, no, it's good that they're local,
Mhm.
okay? I just want to make sure we're doing everything right.
Yep.
Well, and like I say, we can't make a preference for local, non-local, but it seems that the local people are the ones that are willing to fulfill the contracts and show up because they're more vested.
Good deal.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it.
That's why I'm here to explain it rather than the police department.
And I'll tell
That's
you,
why I asked the question.
and Mr. Mayor, members of council, I will tell you that when contractors see Jerry coming into the work site,
They love me.
They
You
shiver in
know
their
they love
boots. So,
You know they love me.
Motion to,
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve 5B as written. Do I need to read through that, sir?
Shelley, you want it read for the records?
Please.
Yes, I think if you could read that.
Discussion and consideration to award contract number CS-2022-0001 to CDX Contracting LLC for the Police Department Remodel Phase 2 project in the amount of $24,888.54, plus an owner's contingency of $22,000. The funds of $46,888.54 will come from budgeted funds in account number 10-57-52200, Police Capital Outlay Construction, and a request to waive 2-4-10A prior discussion rule.
Mr. Mayor. Councilman, could you amend to say instead of discussion and consideration, motion to approve?
Oh, yeah.
Discussion and
It
motion
would be
to approve.
motion to award contract such and such.
Motion to award the contract.
Yes.
as
Is
read.
that better? Thank you, sir.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, and I did speak with Dale. Like I say, they're very busy over there and covering shifts and things like that. So excuse them from the meeting. And Jerry's been a great champ
I
to.
get a badge too.
Yeah, he gets a badge. He asked for
A
more.
little
but
badge.
he started with
one?
Yeah. The plastic one, yeah.
he wanted that bolo thing, so he could use that on his work sites. But we said no, the badge is all he gets. But he's going to be an honorary member over there.
There you
Good.
go. Mariano, on reading it too, the reason I think we read it because when we're talking about numbers, Shelley is able to go back and specific numbers in case there's something wrote wrong or something. So I
Very good. Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
that very much.
Okay.
Yeah, you bet. So is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item C, consideration to approve staff's request to transfer $20,000 from account number 50-80-53005 water expense contingency to account number 50-80-51234 water expense contractual services to fund the cost to hire a contractor to provide quality assurance coding inspection services on the Hagen Water Tanks project, in consideration to waive Rule 2-4-10A prior discussion rule.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you approved a contract for RFI under 25,000 contractual. But this is mainly housekeeping because we can't pay their fees directly out of contingency. We have to transfer that money from contingency into construction. So this is a housekeeping item.
It was already, the amount was already approved, but it was in
You approved
contingency.
that in your consent agenda. And so the council has to approve moving the money. So it's $20,000 that'll be moved out of the water contingency into the water construction.
So the company doing the work is gonna, the one doing the inspection is different than the one doing, the company doing
Yes.
the work.
Yes, it's a third-party inspection that we have hired for our protection, so. And they, originally was $82,000. We worked out a schedule to where they only come in at certain times rather than stay here the whole time, so that's why we dropped it to 20,000.
Questions or comments for Jerry?
Was there a motion made?
No.
I'll make a motion. Mayor, I'd like to approve staff's request to transfer $20,000 from account number 50-8053-005, water expense contingency, to account number 50-80-51234, water expense contractual services, to fund the cost, hire a contractor to provide quality assurance coating inspection services on Hagen water tanks project, and waive the rules.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of item 5C. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
So they're not done with the tanks yet though, right?
No.
So this is gonna be maybe another month away or a couple of months away?
No, he's actually inspecting it as we go because he can't do the inspection on all the tank at one time. So there's like the top was done in one of the tanks, and he come in and inspected that.
Okay.
So in case we have to go back over an area, we don't want to go back over the whole tank. So
Yeah, they used to do this up in the mines. That's why I was
Yeah.
curious.
So we felt that even though that Superior had their own specialists out there, that the city should have be represented outside that contract. So
Good deal. That's all I had.
Okay, any further discussion? We'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed.
thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. We have no action items. Do we have any late agenda items? Second call to the public, any online or email? We do?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a speaker card from Sarah Bernstein. Lisa, can you holler it? Waiting outside.
It'll be on our February 8th meeting then.
February 8th meeting.
Hill Street School, yeah.
Do you want to try to call her now? Yeah. Mr. Mayor, members of council, she has a phone number. Would you like us to confirm that she doesn't want to speak? Yeah.
Give her a call real quick.
Okay. We're at 7:34, so I got a little time.
Gotta kill another 2 hours. Okay. So we'll go to scheduling the meetings,
Nothing to add.
future agenda items.
Council have any? Looks like none.
No E-session.
No E-session.
Call for motion to adjourn. Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned.
They woke up that time.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, somebody fun.